Salutations, respected viewers. This is George from Ireland, and here I am outside the statue, or in front of the statue of Arthur Sullivan in the Embankment Gardens, London. Who was Arthur Sullivan? Well, he is the S of GNS, of Gilbert and Sullivan. He was the composer for the Gilbert and Sullivan plays, whereas W.S. Gilbert was the librettist. So Arthur Sullivan was born in England in 1842, born to Irish parents. His father was a musician in an army band. Now, I don't know what religious denomination they were. One would have assumed they're Catholics, judging by the surname Sullivan. Anyway, Arthur Sullivan was brought up in the Church of England, and he was one of the children of the Chapel Royal. Despite the word children, this choir is for boys only. The Chapel Royal is very close to St James's Palace, but that choir doesn't just sing there, it's wherever the sovereign goes. So it dates right back to the Middle Ages. There are only about a dozen boys or choristers. So he sang in that. There's an oil painting of him in the red livery of the Children of the Chapel Royal. So he was a child of the most prodigious musical talent. And as he was so gifted in the gay science, he went on to be a composer in his adult life rather than a performer. So many of the famous melodies you might know from the Gilbert and Sullivan oeuvre are by him. I'm just trying to think the ones you would know. Like I've Got a Little List, I've Got a Little List, that's by him, of course. And if you want to know who we are gentlemen of Japan. I'm sure I'm murdering it, but there are many better ones. Let me see, with cat-like tread upon our foe we steal in silence dread, or he is an Englishman. I shan't attempt to sing them. I'm not a professional musician, as you may have deduced. So this is him. And his collaborator, W.S. Gilbert, had studied engineering and then been called to the bar. And barristers didn't have to have degrees until about the 70s, although by then almost all of them did. But his friend and collaborator, W.S. Gilbert, was not prospering at the bar, which is why he turned his hand to writing. And Laws Lost, I think, was the gain of music hall. And where they had their plays put on is very close by, was the D'Oyly Carte Theatre in the Savoy Hotel. And the Savoy Hotel is right behind me. That's it, the Savoy Hotel overlooking the River Thames in London. The D'Oyly Carte Theatre, you can't see it. It's on the opposite side of the hotel by that street called the Strand. It's called D'Oyly Carte because of Mr. Doyle and Mr. Carte. The Doyleys were a family who came over here with William the Conqueror, and indeed the castle in Oxford was owned by a Baron Doyley in the early years. There was also a Doyley who went to Calcutta with the East India Company and rose to great prominence in the 18th century. But that's by the by. Back to Sir Arthur Sullivan. There he is, gloriously mustachioed, and it's got a ditty composed by his boon companion, W.S. Gilbert. Is life a boon? If so, it must befall. The death whene'er she call must call too soon. Is that iambic pentameter? Don't really know my rhythms. So, and unfortunately, Arthur Sullivan, he passed away in 1900. If memory serves, he drowned whilst swimming. And in a club, I believe it was the Garrick, his friend, W.S. Gilbert, was asked by a woman, "Oh, is Mr. Sullivan still composing?" And Gilbert, without missing a beat, said, "No, he's decomposing," as in his chum was a mouldering in the grave. So here you can see this grief-stricken woman. She's so overcome by her bereavement that her dress is falling off, which I find to be exceedingly pleasing. Well, that is Sir Arthur Sullivan. You ought to acquaint yourself with his works. There are GNS societies all over the world. Poetry, that thrice-born maid, she gilds in the pirate's trade. More and more, there are very many very well-known airs. That I've Got a Little List is endlessly adaptable. A wandering minstrel eye, a thing of shreds and patches, of ballad songs and snatches, and dreamy lullabies. My catalogue is long, through every passion ranging, unto your humour changing, I'll need my supple song. But anyway, I can't do the melody with that one. Right, toodle pip, omnes.